I felt like I was gonna get killed for a minute there. Hey everyone, it's Trent back with another video. As you can tell by the title of this video, I'm gonna tell you guys all about my Los Angeles experience. Izaha and I just got back from a 5-day vacation there. And if you don't know, we actually plan on moving out there in May. So we took this vacation just so we could see what areas we like best, explore the city, and tour some apartments. Prior to this vacation, and since we're planning on moving out there, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about Los Angeles and what to expect, the pros and cons, cost of living, all that good stuff. So I'm going to tie all that stuff that I learned in those videos and compare it to my actual experience in Los Angeles. I learned a lot about the city in 5 days, and I'm excited to learn a lot more about it when I actually move out there. But this video is just me talking about my experience in the 5 days I was there and my thoughts on the city and where I stand when it comes to moving out there. So with all that being said, let's get into this video. In the videos that I've watched about Los Angeles, the biggest thing that people talked about was the cost of living there. The cost of living there is much more, especially if you compare it to your hometown. I'm from a small town in Ohio. Well, comparing where I live now to Los Angeles, it's a big difference. For one, it's across the country, and for two, it's two completely different areas. But I realized the more that I compared where I live now to LA, it really made me not want to move there anymore, and it really steered me away from it, just because I'm so used to and so comfortable where I live now that moving out there seemed crazy. But once I stopped comparing there to here or here to there, I was like, no, I want out of this town I live in and I want to be in LA. I learned that if you compare LA to where you currently live, you're going to just talk yourself out of moving there. If you decide to move to LA, that's a decision you made. So don't compare LA to back home, because that's going to make you hate it and that's going to make you miserable. You need to learn to adapt to the scenario. Cost of living there is a lot more, but people pay more out there. Here in Ohio, I believe the minimum wage is like, what, $8.50 an hour, if that. Out in California, especially Los Angeles, I'm pretty sure it's like $13 an hour. Here in Ohio, I have a 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, 2-car garage, fenced in front and backyard, and a big driveway and 2 sheds. All of that for $800 a month. Not a bad deal. Out in California though, do you want to know what $800 a month will get you? It'll get you a roommate. Unless you were in a rent-locked apartment, meaning that back in California was cheaper to live in and you had an apartment for $800, and 10 years to the future, your apartment is still $800 because it's rent locked. They can't change the rent on you. So unless you're in that situation, or unless you have a roommate, you're not spending $800 a month in rent. A studio apartment there start out at like $1,200 to $1,300, and that's in bad areas. If you want a decent area, then you can get like a 1-bedroom for like $1,400 to $1,900. If you're feeling real bougie, then you can go all out for $3,000 to $5,000 a month. The apartments that we toured, one of them was a 2-bedroom for $2,200 a month in Tarzana, which is in the Valley, and another one was in Northridge, which is also in the Valley, but that was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom for $1,900 a month. We liked the 1-bedroom a lot more just because of the amenities that it had. We did tour a couple apartments out there. They were really nice apartments, don't get me wrong. Definitely different than the apartments here where I live in Ohio. Out there, you have to make at least 3 times your rent for most apartments. Here in Ohio, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you can pay the rent, that's all they care about. But out there in California, they want to make sure that you can afford it and that they're not going to be getting played by you being unable to pay your rent, which I completely understand. So just in that sense alone, when it comes to cost of living in apartments, it is a big change. When it comes to the cost of groceries and stuff like that, it's also a big change. Groceries there are a lot more, and just basic necessities are a lot more. Here in Ohio, you can find a dollar toothbrush at the dollar store. Here in California, I couldn't find a dollar toothbrush to save my life. In the grand scheme of things, California is more expensive, but that's something that Izaha and I were already aware of, so it didn't throw us off guard. Him and I both are not comparing it to here in Ohio because that's just gonna ruin California for us. Let's talk about the actual city of Los Angeles. So we stayed in an Airbnb in Hollywood. We were 1 block over from Hollywood Boulevard. If you are unaware of Hollywood Boulevard, it's the main strip where everything is. The Walk of Fame, the Chinese Theater, all these shops, restaurants, clubs, that's where everything is. So we were a block over from all of that. I hated it. The Hollywood Boulevard is fun if you plan on going out, but it's a big tourist area. And I didn't like being there. I just didn't like being that close to it. It was such a tourist area. I was not a fan of it at all. But it was still fun to see, and it still would be a fun thing to go do on the weekend. I just couldn't live that close to it. The other areas we explored was West Hollywood. We explored more areas in the Valley, such as Tarzana, Northridge, and some other areas too I don't really remember. We went to Malibu and Santa Monica. We can't afford Santa Monica or Malibu. Both beautiful cities, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful there. The Santa Monica Pier is awesome. It'd be a nice place to go to if you want to do something fun for a day, but to live there, it was too much for us, so we can't afford to live there, which sucks because it is beautiful and I would love to live in one of the 2 places. Maybe one day, but right now, I don't have it like that. So Hollywood we didn't really like. We can't afford Santa Monica or Malibu, so that leaves us with the Valley and West Hollywood. West Hollywood, we loved so much. There's so many shops down there, so many cool areas, and it's very artsy. All these buildings had these paintings on the wall, and it was just so unique and beautiful. It's such a different way of living and culture that I haven't seen before. The issue though is that area is a little bit more expensive for me and Isaiah. I'm sure if him and I budgeted really well and made enough money, we could afford it, but it was just a little bit out of our price range. So that leaves us with other parts of the valley, such as Tarzana and Northridge. Both those areas I liked a lot. The traffic in the valley isn't as bad as it is if you're deep in the city or out on the freeway. So it was nice because it seemed like regular traffic that I have here in Ohio. Both of those areas were close to a bunch of shops. Both of them were close to jobs, and there's just a nice central area to be in, it seemed like. And it's more affordable for us. Both of the departments were in Isaiah's and I's budget. So more than likely, we'll probably end up in the valley when we move out there, which I'm fine with because I love the valley. It was a nice area. We either want to be in West Hollywood or the valley. Let's talk about the traffic there. In the videos that I've watched about Los Angeles and people living out there, they talked about how bad the traffic is, and I thought they were being over dramatic. That was until we went out there. The traffic there is horrid. Unless you're out at like 3 in the morning, you're gonna be stuck in gridlock traffic. There's no way around it. It took us about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, if I'm being generous, just to travel 15 miles. Here in Ohio, you can travel 15 miles in about 20 minutes. But in California, it took us literally an hour to an hour and a half to travel 15 miles on the freeway because we were stuck in gridlock traffic. Traffic in the city isn't as bad. It can be, but out on the freeway, it is horrible. But as I said, down in the valley, the traffic, there's a lot of it, but it seems to flow really smoothly. In those videos I watched, another thing that all of them mentioned was homeless people. It's sad. It honestly is. I didn't realize how bad the whole scene around homeless people was until I went to LA. Now, there's homeless people everywhere you look. That's not how it is. But if you're in certain areas, it is bad. In Hollywood, we saw a couple. In the valley, there wasn't really any at all. We went to downtown LA, and that's where it was bad. Our Lyft driver dropped us off on the wrong street, which was fine because we didn't even realize that it was the wrong street ourselves. That street was nothing but homeless people. You know how there's tree-lined streets with trees all the way down the street? On the street, it was a tent-lined street. It was homeless people all the way down the street. It was so sad, and I felt so bad for all of them, and it was not a good area to be in. I felt very unsafe, not because of the homeless people, but just because of the area itself. So you do gotta be careful because there is certain parts of LA that is dangerous and that I didn't feel safe in. As I said, not because of the homeless people, but just because of just the whole area in general, aside from the homeless people, because they mind their business. As long as you're not staring at them and as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you. But just the areas in general of downtown LA that we were in some areas in other parts of LA, it is a little bit dangerous. So you just have to be careful and use your common sense. So back to what I just said about homeless people leaving you alone if you leave them alone. Let me tell you guys a story. Zay and I were in downtown LA, but at a nicer part of downtown LA. We were trying to go to one of these museums, but it was closed. So we were sitting on a bench waiting for our Lyft driver. I was sitting there hunched over on my phone, minding my business, and out of the corner of my eye, I see shoes right up next to me. Well, I look up and there's this homeless man just staring at me like this. Just staring at me. I was like, can I help you? I didn't say anything. I just slowly looked up and he was still staring at me like, looked over at Isaiah, and Isaiah was looking at me like, I felt like I was gonna get killed for a minute there because, like, why is this homeless man just randomly staring at me? And then he turned around and walks away. Like, you have to be careful with where you are at in Los Angeles because some areas aren't the safest. You just gotta use your common sense. I was smart and I was quiet. I didn't say anything to the man. If a homeless man starts staring at you, don't cause a scene. Just leave them be because then they'll leave you be. If you feel like you're in an unsafe area, get out of that area. So now that we got all the negative things out of the way, we talked about the traffic, the issues with the homeless people and the dangerous parts of Los Angeles, the cost of living. Let's talk about why I want to move to Los Angeles even more now than what I did before. I've never been to California before. It was my first time. It's just beautiful. Los Angeles is beautiful. There is so much to do, so much to look at. It is so creative. Just me being there for those 5 days, I felt so inspired to create. It just gave me so much motivation and so much inspiration. I cannot wait to move out there because I feel like it's gonna be the best thing for me, especially for this YouTube channel. As I said, I just felt so much more creative. And there's just so much more that I could do there. So many more things I can make videos on. And so many more vlogs that I can make. There's just so much more I can do out there. And there's so much more there for literally everybody. As long as you strive to do better. And as long as you're striving to reach your goals, then there's so much out there for you to do. There's people all over just trying to do what they love. There's people out there sharing their music, playing music on the side of the roads. There's people that have fruit trucks because they just love selling fruit to people. Like, there's just people out there minding their business, just trying to follow their dreams. And I think that's something so beautiful, is that people are just doing what they love and what they're passionate about, and they're just trying to share that with other people. I just feel like LA is the place to be, and I feel like it's gonna be the best place for me to, for one, follow my dreams, for two, to be more passionate and creative, and also just so I can learn to grow. I feel like Los Angeles would be the best place for me to grow, for me to expand my horizons, and for me to push myself to try new things. So even though the traffic there might be horrid, even though the rent might be a little bit more, even though there's a lot more homeless people than what I'm used to, none of that bothers me, because I know at the end of the day, it'll all be worth it. This is gonna be the biggest change of pace that I have ever made, but I'm glad I'm gonna have Isaiah along on the ride with me. It's so much better being with your best friend and being with your significant other on such a huge life-changing experience. That is my experience in just my 5 days in Los Angeles, California. I'm sure once I move out there, I can make an updated video about all the things that I've learned and just how I feel about the city, but I'm sure the longer I'm there, the more I'm gonna love it. But when we do move, expect moving vlogs, expect an apartment tour, expect my thoughts on LA video once I actually move out there for a little while. Just expect so much more when I move out there. Until then, you're just gonna be seeing this basic content from me. I can only do so much here in Ohio, but once I'm out there in LA, my channel is going to change so much for the better. So with all that being said, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Share with your friends if you want to, or if you know anybody that's trying to move out to Los Angeles or trying to vacation in Los Angeles, definitely share this video with them, because I feel like this video might be helpful for them. Comment down below any questions that you might have about Los Angeles, any questions for me and moving out there. Comment down below anything you want, and I will answer them, because I answer all my comments, because I don't get that many of them. And definitely subscribe if you are new. Tap the bell to be notified whenever I post. Post at least one video a week, so if you tap that bell, then you won't miss out on a single video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your support. See you guys in the next video.